A pleasant good morning to everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. No, I'm not on vacation. No, I'm not. So don't let the background fool you. Oh, I wish. Vacation coming soon. Here is our guest menu for today's show. Demonnie Lagway. She's a student athlete. She has transferred to Southern University from Cal State Fullerton. She will be a member of the Southern University Lady Jaguar basketball team. Also scheduled to join us, Aussie Clark will join us very shortly. Here's what's trending on today's show. Southern University baseball, they have an important baseball series against Mississippi Valley State University. I'm going to tell you the change in the baseball schedule coming up for this series. We'll get into that very shortly. Also, Southern University has a FBS football opponent for 2026. We'll tell you who that team is. And it's not the first time that the Jaguars have played this institution. Also, NBA playoff update 2025. How about those Lakers, Melody? The Lakers are in a bit of a series, to say the least. That's what's trending on today's show. Now, let's introduce the panel. As they come in one by one, there's Aussie Clark. Good morning to you. Coach
Good
Pettaway.
morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good morning, Carlos.
Good morning, Coach Pettaway and Willa Brown, live from Baltimore, Maryland.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Hey, Will, I know why you're tough now. Baltimore is a pretty city, but it's a tough place from what I've heard. So you got to be tough and be a hard liner. Well, SWAC baseball note. Melanie says, don't be calling me out. Lakers in 5. Yeah, you're right. Lakers in 5, Melanie.
Yeah,
Lakers in 5.
Yeah, her and Shannon, they had their signals mixed up, man. When they predicted 5.
Yeah. Or as Moses Malone said, 4-5-4.
Yeah. It's gonna be 5, all right, but it's going the other way.
Yeah. But you know what? I still think it's a series, though.
Oh, yeah.
I think tomorrow is going to be very important. It's Carlos in Cancun scouting for the Heat. Not scouting, but there will be a meeting of the minds after this series. So with the Heat. Well, Southern University and Mississippi Valley State, the weather was very rough here in Baton Rouge and in the South as far as rain. So here's the latest. Southern University and Mississippi Valley State, a big baseball series. It'll be a single game today, 3 p.m. at Central Standard Time. And then tomorrow, there's going to be a doubleheader. The first game starts at 1 p.m. Now, Southern Jaguar baseball team, they're on a 4-game losing streak. By the way, they got swept by University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, Wheeler. Also, UAPB is playing some great baseball right now. They defeated the league-leading team last night in Arkansas Pine Bluff. So look out. Look out.
Yeah, but Carlos, everybody's sleeping on Grambling, though. Grambling won 8 in a row.
Wow.
Yes. And I've got to stand. Also, Alabama State has been winning of late, and FAMU has been kind of went on a losing streak.
Yep.
Now, in basketball, also, we say when you look at a single game in basketball, it's a game of runs.
Yeah.
And it appears in this college baseball season in the SWAC, it's which team will be consistent, which team will be hot on the winning streak, and then which team can overcome some adversity. That seems like life to me.
It is. It's a recipe for life. And when you think about what baseball or any other sport really is, especially when it comes right down to it, is can you have consistent pitching down the stretch, and can you have guys who can put the ball in play when it's necessary? That gives you an opportunity to put runs on the board, and then you have to do a great job of just being able to play defense behind the run support that you already have. You can't have too many mistakes down the stretch, because now that begins to play into the psyche of what can happen as you look forward to the tournament. So right now, it's about solidifying the pitching, making sure your guys are getting enough hits, getting enough runs to give you an opportunity to win a baseball game, and then you just let the chips fall where they may.
Well, for some teams, they're in trouble then, based on your philosophy, which I agree with. Pitching is always something that's been talked about, quality, quantity, and for this Southern University baseball team, they've got to muster up something. They can hit the ball very well and hit the cover off it, but pitching, I think now, going at this point of the season, it's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough, and we just have to call it the way we see it. We still hope that they'll be able to go on a run and make the tournament. As in the chat room, Willie said, the experiment is over. There's a good chance that they may not make the tournament, but we shall see.
You never can tell, because if baseball is just like you said about basketball a minute ago, it's runs. It's about who can find that hot moment at the right time, and that's all you really need to do is find a streak. I think Coach mentioned a minute ago, Grambling's on an 8-game winning streak right now. It's a game of streaks. If you can just find a way to put a couple of games together and continue to build off of that, you're in good shape. Mississippi Valley, by no stretch, is a great baseball team according to their record, but when you're playing the game, anything can happen. So you can't take this team for granted today. You got to find a way to win today, and then pick up that doubleheader tomorrow, so that you can win out, and then you'll be right at about, I think, 10 and 11 if you win in the conference. So that gives you a little bit of wiggle room down the stretch.
Well, I think it's even. I think it's even pretty much across the board. And, for me, I think you just got to get into the tournament. I think you throw all the records out the window, and once you get into the tournament, I mean, it's anybody's game after that. But you got to be able to put those runs on the board. There's no doubt about that. Everybody's hurting for pitching, so there's no doubt about that. So it's who doing the best in terms of strategizing to their strengths, that sort of thing. But it's about getting in. I think once you get in, it's almost like anything goes.
Right, but Wheeler, one of the things that has to come into play now, your pitching rotation got to be where you need it to be. You see, coming down the stretch, you can't kill your bullpen going into that tournament, because you need your starter, you need your rotation in order and to pick up to win in a tournament. That pitching rotation has to be in order, and then they got to be pitching at their best in order to even give you a shot at it, though. So I think
my thing is get it across the plate, Coach Pettaway. Get it across the plate and defend. Get it across the plate. Let's not be walking folk, like it's going out of style, that sort of thing. Get it across the plate, and keep it in the park, and defend.
Well, if you look at the teams at the top, Bethune-Cookman, Alabama State, Grambling State, TSU, and FAMU, and then now you put in the discussion UAPB, we know Bethune-Cookman probably has the best pitching along with FAMU and the staff. Now, bullpens are important. And that's where I think, just to be honest here, I think Southern is no doubt about it. They've struggled in those two areas. It's kind of like in basketball, we can score with anybody, but can we defend? In football, we can score, but can we defend? And then when it comes down to when offensively you're not having one of your better days, can your pitching and your bullpen and your defense, can it sustain you? And right now, for Southern, they still got a shot, But it is what it is right now. Hopefully they'll go on a winning streak. Hopefully, I don't know if you can say the pitching will improve to the point that they can do some damage. But
they just got to do enough, Carlos. And I think that's where everybody kind of wants to look at this thing. They just have to do enough to sustain. If you don't have to go out and be Nolan Ryan right now. I know that's a dated reference for many of our watchers today, but you don't have to be Nolan Ryan. You don't have to be Greg Maddux. All you have to be right now is consistent. Find a way to just make sure that you're doing the best job that you can to maintain and put a good ball game together. Don't wear your other guys out down the stretch. You're going to need those guys. And so it's all about being consistent. And if those guys can find a way to just get out of their own heads, relax, and play the game, I think that Southern can make a run and can get in the tournament.
Well, it starts today because Southern University is 7-11 in conference. Guess who they're right ahead of? Mississippi Valley State.
Oh.
And we have looked at every series. Southern has struggled in game one. If Southern wins this first game in the series, then I feel a little bit more comfortable with them winning the series. I mean, they've defeated Grambling 2-3, Alcorn 2-3, but they've lost them. I think pretty much lost the beginning of the series throughout conference play. And then Prairie View 4-11, they're kind of close. Southern University to Southern University, that is. And then Jackson State 8-10, Southern 7-11. So as somebody stated last week, hopefully it doesn't come down to that last baseball series with Southern and Jackson State, but it very well could. Southern University under Coach Crenshaw, he had early success. We talked about it. Been in the tournament, been in the discussion. Willa, for you, that's enough for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Coach Pettaway, you're laughing. Why?
Because there are fan bases out there that's not enough. Just being in the hunt is not enough for them.
Really?
Yeah. There are 2 or 3 of you in the SWAC that think you got to win it every year. And that's wishful thinking. That's wishful thinking. Everybody's gonna have a down year. I don't care what level you play on. Every team's gonna have a down year, or not a great year. Let's just say it that way. So even on the professional level, the collegiate level, in different sports, nobody dominates year in and year out in every sport. So you got to be able to make that adjustment. You all do a great job when you win. But for some reason, you are some very sore losers when it's not going in your favor. That's the part. That's the part the Jag Nation got. No, I'm not saying you got to be comfortable with it, but you are at the same time. You have to teach your athletes you how to take the wins and how to rebound from the losses. So that's got to be also paramount to the fan base also.
Coach Pettaway, I'd like to know. Southern is one. What's the other 2 fan bases that feel that way? Could it be Jackson State? Jackson State. What? I know Jackson State.
Yep. Jackson's in that.
I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to definitely tell you, I know from a Grambling perspective, that is absolutely the case.
Yep.
Well, there goes the 3 programs. Wow.
And then, Carlos, like I told you earlier in the week, I will gladly, Alabama A&M, our baseball team, we gladly trade places with you all. We would gladly. We're 2-16 in the conference. So I will be happy to be in your position.
I can understand that. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, when you're at 2-16 in the conference, but Southern and Valley 3 p.m. today at Lee Hines Field, and then a doubleheader starting tomorrow. First pitch at 1 p.m. It's gonna be huge. I want to see today at 3 p.m. Can Southern kind of break that streak and kind of win that first game in the series? Because Valley's gonna be fired up.
Yeah.
I think it's more pressure on Southern for this series. Not that Valley feels comfortable, but hey, they have some pressure as well. It's gonna be interesting to see. We'll report back. And last week, Southern University got swept by UAPB, and now it doesn't make the Jaguar Nation feel better. But then UAPB now, I guess, on a 4-game winning streak because they took care of Bethune-Cookman last night. And speaking of those scores, 6-5 UAPB over Bethune-Cookman. It was Grambling State going down to Tallahassee, defeating FAMU 6-4. Alabama State and TSU, a big weekend, 10-7 over Texas Southern. And then today's schedule, Alabama A&M and Prairie View A&M, they've already started, and I think they've got a double. I want to say maybe it's a double header, but I'm not sure about that. FAMU and Grambling State, UAPB and BCU, Bethune-Cookman, Southern, and Mississippi Valley State, Alcorn and JSU, 3 p.m. I think a little pressure on JSU, maybe not. They're playing Alcorn, who is in the bottom of the conference. But hey, every game matter. All games matter, right, Austin? All games matter.
Every game matter. All games matter.
And Alabama State and TSU at 6 p.m. So that's maybe the double header. Now, moving along to what's trending, and we do have a graphic. Southern University, they will be taking on an FBS opponent next year, September the 12th. Who do you think? Well, no, I can ask you that, Wheeler, but in the chat room, who do you think that game is against? It's a team, a university. Oh, there we go. University of Houston. The alumni base in Houston is pretty huge. University of Houston, Southern University, September 12th, 2026. Now, we had some fun with this because you know how I feel about playing up. Once every 4 years, Wheeler has stated, nah, he doesn't believe in that. But we can speculate about the contract and the amount. I'm going to say 500 to 600,000.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers will come out, but for Southern University, when they go, they expect to get paid.
It's a short trip. Carlos. You know, I mean, I'd be happy with 500. Yeah, I'd take it. You know,
I'll take 600.
And if they throw in rooms and meals, that'd be a plus. You know, because you know that Banks is going to have to give the band some of that at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. You know, he's going to have to give them at least probably a couple 100,000 out of that. You know, so you're going to spend almost 100 in terms of travel expenses, that sort of thing. So if you can bring back 250, you know, you call it a good deal and keep it moving, you know, and you're not playing up to the point where, you know, you got to worry about getting your kids beat up and all that sort of thing and stuff. And, you know, I think it's a win-win pretty much all the way around. So I'd take 5 and call it a day.
Yeah. Hey, Carlos, is that a bus trip or a flight to Houston?
For the team, it'll probably be a bus.
And I'm sure what's about 3 hours? Maybe?
Oh yeah, well,
about 4 hours, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, good, nice little bus trip.
Right. So that cuts your expenses right there. If it's a bus trip. So yeah, that's a good game.
And then that's a great game. And you turn around, and it's a turnaround trip, I would think. You know, after the game, I'm saying they'll probably bus right back. They'll probably come in that Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, but that's the opponent, and we'll see some more of these games throughout the next few years as far as teams in the conference, because it's a guarantee.
Right, but at that date, September the 12th, that puts you right in the middle, right in your conference schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I kind of took a peek. I want to say Jackson State will be in September again next year. Well, you'd love to have that in October, but wishful thinking now. And they'll still be on the road. They'll go to FAMU. They'll have Alcorn at home, but the schedule will come out. But pretty much the conference schedule, you kind of can tell whoever you played this year at home, you're going to go on the road next year. So,
like I said, you guys should match up. You guys should match up pretty well. You shouldn't be physically overwhelmed at all. So I mean, like I said, I kind of look at it as a win-win.
And also kind of playing them in the early as possible.
Right.
That helps as well, because I know some teams like in the SEC, they'll play FCS teams like late in the year.
Right.
It's kind of a standard thing that they do. But University of Houston, Southern University, September 2026.
Here's the key to that. Here's the key to that. I don't mean to jump in, Coach, but here's the key to it. What time are you playing that game in September? Because if you're playing at 2:00 in the afternoon, there's nobody that's going to show up in the state of Texas at that alarming amount of heat that'll be inside that stadium. So the prayer is that you play that game in the afternoon, somewhere around 6 or 7 o'clock. That way, some of the heat factor will be gone, and it will be a little bit more palatable for people to be inside of the stadium at the University of Houston. Beautiful stadium. There, Grambling played at the University of Houston a couple of years ago when they were just opening the stadium. At that point of the inaugural stadium opening for the University of Houston. So it's a beautiful venue and a great location, not too far around the corner from Texas Southern, and of course, right there close to the heart of downtown Houston. So if you're a Southern University fan, I don't see why you're not in Houston. It's 35 minutes from where I live, so I'm going to make sure that I'm there.
Yeah, I know you will. Artie, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably going to be a 6 p.m., 7 p.m. game.
Yeah, and Carlos, believe it or not, it's better that Coach Graves is doing this versus Coach Johnson now. Because if I was Coach Johnson, I would want no part of Houston now. And no, I would want no parts of Kevin Sampson in Houston. No, sir, not at all.
And they're not gonna be in a good mood after the way that season ended. But it's not the first time Southern's played the University of Houston, but it is what it is. 85 scholarships to 63. In this game, as Charles Edmond would say, you're playing with house money. Throw caution to the wind. You're not expected to win. Go out and have fun. But as student athletes,
that's it.
They want to go in and show that, hey, we can get it. We can play with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that was the information I wanted to provide to you. Southern University and the University of Houston in 2026. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, guys, I didn't know if I wanted to talk about the NFL draft, because we know about drafting HBCU players, that situation. But if you care to do so, the big story is Shedeur Sanders not being drafted. And you can give your thoughts and perspective on it. I'm still meditating on this whole thing, but I'll just say this. When the opportunity comes for Coach Sanders for Shedeur and Coach Sanders, you just go out and prove.
That's it.
Go out and prove it and get things done. But we'll hold it right there. We'll get you guys' perspective on that. And then, oh boy, the University of Houston, Southern University football, and NBA playoffs update. Well, some interesting stories are being told, and it's trending in an interesting way with the NBA playoffs. We'll be right back. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Welcome back. We were talking about in the last segment two things, of course, Southern University and Valley at 3 p.m. today. I'm going to make sure I tell you that again. A single game doubleheader tomorrow. First pitch, 1 p.m. Huge series across the SWAC baseball landscape this weekend. Also, we talked about Southern University football opponent, FBS opponent, University of Houston, next year. Now, if I can, let me go to the chat room. And one question was directed to Wheeler, as we call him, the tough AD. And let me pull it up here. He basically was saying, Jeremiah, about if a coach has only won 2 SWAC championships in 18 years, is that below mediocre?
If he's only won 2 championships in 2 years?
No, it was
in 18 years.
In 18 years. Is that below mediocre?
I would say yeah. I would say yeah. I mean, that's a long time, you know. I mean, but I'd have to look at the body of work overall also, not just measuring it in terms of quote unquote championships. You know, if we're in the hunt on a regular basis and, you know, we just don't get over the hump a few times, that sort of thing, if we're coming close regularly, if we're in a conversation on a regular basis, all those things to me you have to take into consideration also. You know,
Right.
everybody's not gonna win a championship, and everybody's not gonna win a championship on the regular. You know, but if I'm giving you the resources necessary to get this job done, you know, I'm expecting that on a semi-regular basis, we are attempting to get over that hump.
Right.
But if we're right there, and we're approaching that, you know, that threshold on a regular basis, I'm good with that. You know, but if you've only won one championship in year one and then 17 years later you win year two, you know, you win your second championship, but in between it's been, you know, pretty much on a downward slope, that sort of thing. To me, that would be mediocre.
Right. And Carlos, I think the big key that Wheeler said, are you being given what you need to be successful?
True.
Right. To me, that's the key now.
Well, and you know, in baseball, I think, and I guess I can't speak for everybody, but the teams, institutions that have made investments in baseball over the years, because at one point it was Southern, Jack State, and Grambling that had only won championships. Then here comes Texas Southern. Here comes Perryville. And so they've invested in the resource. But I guess if you ask them, they would still say, hey, I could use more. I can use more. Like on the show, it's been brought up about a pitching coach or pitching coaches. Not sure if everybody has one on their staff, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say there are some in the conference that have pitching coaches.
I think, Carlos, you know, overall, as you looking at your entire athletic program, you know, you're separating between revenue sports and non-revenue sports. Let's not get that part twisted, you know, and also you need to look at where you've had success, you know, and you're going to be more apt to put resources in those programs that have a history of success as opposed to those that don't. And when I'm talking about non-revenue sports now, you know, so if I haven't been in the hunt in track and field and I don't know how long, you know, but baseball is getting me right there and keeping me right there, you know, push come to shove, if I got to move a few dollars here and there, you know, I'm going to go look towards moving those monies from the teams that haven't shown success into the teams that have shown some success. So if I got to flip that coin, you know, I know where 9 times out of 10 those few extra dollars is gonna come from, you know. But I know that I'm not going to be able to give on our level every program everything that they need in order to be successful. So I got to look and see who's close, what I can do to get that close team over the hump, that close program over the hump. And if I have to take a couple dollars here and there from, you know, another program, then, you know, we got to do what we have to do.
But, you know, Will, I look at it, and I understand what you're saying, valid points. But you look at traditionally, Southern's baseball program, wouldn't you say it was been pretty doggone good with the championships? Year in and year out with Coach Roger Cador at the helm. So that in itself should suggest that it's a program that can be in the conversation and have a couple of championships, you know, within a 5-6 year period, a couple, you know, or one. And that's something you continue to build on as far as the legacy. Now,
but it also says, Carlos, that he's being funded at a pace to be on a championship level.
You're talking about the present coach.
I'm talking about the present coach.
Okay.
So now I have to hold his feet to the fire in a little different way now. I mean, we're in a conversation, that sort of thing and stuff. And my philosophy in terms of championship in the first year. That's the kiss of death. There's no doubt about that. Everybody expects that on a yearly basis, so forth and so on. And so the knock against Crenshaw right now that I see is the fact that he won a championship in year one. Somebody would say with somebody else's players. My thing has always been they're yours when you inherit the program. But that's neither here nor there. And so somebody would say, he's won with other people's kids, and when he's starting to get his own kids in the program now, he's underachieving, so forth and so on. So, I can understand people's rationale behind them being disgruntled with coach. But like I said, you guys are in the conversation all the time. I don't hear word being mentioned in terms of championship in baseball, and Southern University's name is not right there at the top of that list or close to the top of that list in terms of one of those in immediate contention.
And sometimes it's all in the timing and faith. A couple of years ago, you remember Southern made it to the finals, and they lost to Alabama State. Couple of years ago. So, expectations. I know Coach Crenshaw knows this. When you take over a program that it has a successful program and a legacy of winning, it is what it is. Because now some people have said, look, I'd rather be the guy that comes behind the guy that comes behind the legend the first time. So we'll see. They could catch lightning in the bottle and get hot. The pitchers can perform above duty and get Southern back in the conversation. Now, right now, if the turn were to start today, boy, man, they'd probably be on the outside looking in. But there is still some time left for them to get into the tournament. And then, as you stated, anything could happen. You can get hot for a week, and that's it. And you are in the championship game. But it's going to be interesting to see how the baseball program is navigated through Coach Banks. He ultimately has the say-so. The fans have expressed their deep concerns. I get it. But ultimately, it's going to fall back on the athletic director and his staff. So we're hoping the best. We're hoping the best. Wheeler, and don't bring up about don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. Much expected, right?
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. That's true.
Moving on. NBA playoffs. Now, our producer. Okay, well let's go back. Jeremiah says not having a pitching coach is like not having an offensive coordinator. What are we talking about? Unless you're a head coach who has the ability to be offensive coordinator as well. Some coaches head coaches call their own play.
Right.
But with this baseball team, pitching bullpen has not been good. Let's just call it the way it is. And they have been struggling. But they make the tournament. Anything can happen.
Right. But Carlos, is different when you got 2 or 3 Bob Gibsons in the bullpen. You make a pitching coach look awfully good. But if you got some mamby-pambies, in there, I mean, come on now. We say having a pitching coach is important, but at the same time, you can't make lemonade without sugar.
Oh boy.
No. Hey, the main ingredient in lemonade is lemonade.
I drink Crystal Light, buddy.
Hey, look. hey, Carlos, that main ingredient in lemonade is lemons now.
Yeah, but you got to have that sugar too.
Yeah,
but you're right.
You can have sugar water. It's a substance of things hoped for. Yeah, that's just sugar water. Yeah.
Coach Pettaway, they don't know nothing about sugar water, Coach Pettaway.
Yeah.
Oh, I do. Yeah. My father loved it. Had it with every meal. God rest his soul.
Carlos, you just gonna run over the NFL draft? I mean, you just gonna skip over it?
Oh, that's right. We're supposed to come back to it.
You can't skip that, Carlos.
I thought you were upset because the HBCUs have not been drafted so far. But technically they have now. Hold up, technically they have because Travis Hunter was at Jackson State.
Yeah, and he ended up at Colorado.
With Jackson State, yes.
But Coach Pettaway, now we're talking about the rest of our student athletes.
I know.
Yeah, you know they're gonna probably sign free agent contracts. They can pick, kind of where they want to go in that aspect. We've talked about it for years, and now with Shedeur Sanders, very gifted, talented student athlete, quarterback. Now hasn't been drafted as of yet. Wheeler, what are your thoughts on it?
Carlos, I'm gonna be in the minority on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't think the kid was a first round talent, although I think he is talented.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I do believe that he is better than a couple of those guys that was drafted yesterday.
A lot better.
So I will say that, the teams that bypassed him in the first round, outside of maybe Pittsburgh, who probably should have got him, as soon as they could. I just think that, you listen to the prognosticators, and the scouts and all that sort of thing. They talk about certain flaws in his game and things of that nature. 6 one way, half a dozen the other. I did not think that he was a first rounder. I will say that, but I thought he was worthy of the second round and moving forward. There's no doubt about that. So, you got people looking at this thing that know way more about the quarterback position than I do. So, I mean, you kind of got to go with their hunch or what have you when it's all said and done. But that somewhere in there, it's the family issue and all that sort of thing and stuff. And, let's not pretend that is not a part of the evaluative process, because we know, that it is. And I think that there's a reluctance to draft him now because of that, because of the pressure, the press, and everything that's going to come behind him not being picked earlier. So I think you got some teams that probably are quarterback needy that are kind of shine off and, let's wait till the following year or what have you, that sort of thing, and, kind of see what happens. But, it kind of like is what it is. Hopefully the young man, is strong enough. He'll have that chip on his shoulder. He'll go into camp wherever he is, and look to prove everybody wrong, that sort of thing. I mean, you look at Brady, he didn't get picked to the 6th round or what have you, and he's mentioned in the same breath as, one of the greatest of all times, so, you need to look in that direction if you need motivation, in terms of, what you're going to do when it's your time. So don't look to get mad, get even, suck it up and go, and let's keep it moving.
Right. I think his skill set, once he gets in there, his skill set needs to come to the forefront. And I'm one of the people that believe that his father has a lot to do with his slide. I think that some of the teams don't want to be able to, they don't want to deal with all of that. It's just like when I was recruiting for basketball. If I was in an arena watching a high school or a JUCO kid and the parents were in there acting a fool, that turned me off right there. I wouldn't
you don't want the circus. You're absolutely right, Coach Pettaway.
I have turned down athletes because of their parents. I didn't like the way they were treating the coaches that their child played for. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't want this in my place. And so I have moved on from athletes. I know other coaches in basketball that have done the same thing. They don't recruit a kid. They don't recruit a kid because of their parents. They don't want the parents involved in their program. So they let them go. And I promise you, I think some of these teams don't want to deal with Dion or Coach Prime. And so they're not taking his son right now. And then this is a very humbling experience for Shedeur. And so what he should do when he gets an opportunity, whether it's as a free agent or somebody eventually drafts him, just go in there and let his play speak for itself. Stop all this foolishness, man, all this bravado and all this other mess. Just go out there and play, man. Play without all the extra stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. Play without all the extra stuff.
Austin?
I have to go and say
I see
that. I didn't even see that at Jackson State. I always thought, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're in a bad spot. Yeah.
Hello.
We got you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Go ahead, Austin.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. No, okay. I was saying that I agree with Wheeler. I definitely agree that I didn't believe that Shedeur was a number one first-round draft pick by any stretch of the imagination. I saw some things at Jackson State that pretty much put us in the mindset that he wouldn't be the type of quarterback that a lot of teams were looking for in the National Football League, especially now, because Shedeur is definitely much more of a pocket passer than a dual threat athlete at this particular point. And we saw even at Colorado where whenever he was pushed off of the spot, moved out of the pocket, if he didn't have Travis Hunter or if he didn't have Joe Horn, it could have been disastrous for Colorado. They just had two guys that could go get it and make him look good in bad situations. But on the flip side of that, there are some things about his game that I do believe that would be very good for a lot of NFL teams. And to say that the kid is not at least a second or third round draft pick, I think something is wrong with the system when you start looking at it. And whether you want to deal with Coach Prime or not, I think that at some point it's do you really want somebody that can come in and make a difference for your football team? And if you don't think you can, then you're going to put him in this position where he will actually have to go free agent and maybe do maybe like Tom Brady did, like when everybody else didn't believe in Tom Brady. You know, he had to come in and prove the fact. That's where I agree with Coach, that at some point on some level that you're going to have to prove to everybody that you deserve to be here. That it's not about, I hate to use this word because our president says it a lot. Don't let them think that it's about merit or privilege. This is about you being the best athlete that you can possibly be and that you can compete on any level under any circumstances that there are. Do I think it's a travesty that he has slipped and fallen this far because of the business of the NFL? Absolutely.
Well, you know, that system hasn't changed with the NFL. When we talked about other student athletes at HBCUs, a few have been drafted. For the most part, they haven't. They get them as a free agent. Yeah. But you can still go in, Wheeler, work hard, and prove them wrong.
Bottom line being, Carlos, not to cut you off, at the end of the day, if the boy had first round talent, okay, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now because somebody would have taken a chance and brought the boy in there. You know,
Well,
it's when you combine that on top of all this other issue, you know, that to me kind of signaled that, you know, that sort of thing.
Here's the only pushback that I have. The only pushback that I have to that is, you mean to tell me a 25-year-old guy that played at the University of Louisville for a year is better than?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Like I said, he's better.
And
he's
the Saints
better than a couple of those guys that went yesterday. There's no doubt about that. I just didn't think he was better than Cam Ward, who wound up being the #1 pick.
Oh no, I don't. No,
you know, and there were
probably
some other folk down the line in that first round that probably could have utilized his talent, even if it meant bringing him in for a year and letting him sit behind somebody, you know, and kind of get his feet wet, that sort of thing. I just did not think he was ready to step onto the field tomorrow and get out there and carry my program to the heights that it needs to be carried.
And again, I totally agree with that, with your assessment. I'm just saying that when teams start looking, and we started seeing guys that go ahead of him, then you have to start thinking, okay, what is the business here? Is it to blackball somebody because of their dad? Is it to blackball them because of something that they did? Is it to blackball them because you don't think that, or just say that they're just not good? Now, I can live with the fact that you tell me an athlete is not good on the professional level. I can deal with that. But to say that he's that much further behind this guy who's only played 1 year, who's had 3 injuries, a broke leg and 2 broken arms, and that guy is better. I'm sorry, I can't go with that one. And to this day, I still think Mickey Loomis needs to have his head examined, and so does the Saints organization for allowing some of the stuff that has happened to happen for them. But down the line, I'm just saying that at some point, Shedeur is going to have to prove himself.
And Mickey Loomis, let's try not to mention that name again. Also because it's not good. And you know, looking at social media, they are ticked off about that selection.
Oh, I have some friends that are huge Saints fans that are here. I have some that are in North Louisiana that are very much so huge Saints fans, and they are absolutely livid right now with what the Saints have done and what Mickey Loomis has brought into the fold. When you already know that Derek Carr, and again, I'm not knocking Derek Carr, but you know what Derek Carr is. You know what he has been, and he's been that way ever since he's been in the league. Now, he's got really good numbers when you look at his numbers for the most part. He's, you know, statistically he looks good, but at the end of the day, he doesn't pay dividends to get you where you need to go. And right now, you don't even know if he's going to be able to play for you for this year. And so now you're going to bring in this guy who's 25 years old, who's already got bum arms and legs to come in and play quarterback for you. That's just, you know, and I pray the best for the young man, but I just think that's a bad pickup.
I was going to say SWAC Media Day with Coach Sanders at Jackson State. And one of my colleagues, Charles Bishop, we were sitting and talking, you know, before the program started. So, and Neely. And they said, well, let's introduce you to the Jack State players there. And so there's Travis Hunter, and I realized he had a boot on. And then there's Shedeur. The makeup of those 2 young men, quick. Hunter, he seemed to be very humble. Hello, how you doing, sir? Nice to meet you. And then Shedeur is a different type of person. Here's what I mean. So they said, this is Carlos Brown. He does a show like we do, but he just covers Southern University. And when I tell you he was on that cell phone, he didn't look up. It was like, okay, you're nobody, which I'm not. I'm not anybody. And so he raised his head up and then say, well, I will say this. Southern University, that was the best environment that we played with on the road, but it's not like the Vet. Of course not. Of course not. And then he looked at me and he said, you know, we're gonna take care of business. We're gonna get y'all again to this year.
Carlos.
Wait a minute, let me finish.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute. And I said, okay, but you know, his demeanor, my advice, and he won't take none from me.
Mm-hmm.
On social media, be careful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Attitude reflects leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And leadership reflects attitude. And it's not about the physical talent. You know, I think he's talented. Now, y'all discussed about whether he's a first, second. I couldn't tell you. I just based on what I saw him do in college. But being humble, that is just not one of his attributes to me. And is that a bad thing? To some, it may be. But I think it's more of not his physical talent. It's off the field. And the NFL, the system is a system. They are who they are. And
he's gotta take some of that blame also, Carlos. You know, and I say I'm talking about the young man himself. He's got to take some of that blame. These whispers just didn't start. You know, these whispers didn't start last week, that sort of thing. Those whispers have been out there for a minute or two. You know, when you decide that you don't want to run at the combine or you don't want to throw, you know, that sort of thing and stuff, and you know that there are people that's got questions in their minds in terms of whether or not you can complete the pass across the field or throw the 15, 20-yard out pattern, or, you know, do you have the wherewithal to be able to throw the deep ball? You know folk got those questions beforehand, and you're in a prime position to be able to show folk what you can do, being at the combine, you know, but you shut it down. You know, and tell folk, well, I'm going to wait until my pro day or what have you. Like all of a sudden, when I get to my pro day, I'm going to magically appear and this is going to happen. That's going to happen. You know, you can't do that. You can't put yourself in that position. You knew these whispers were going on back then. So you had ample opportunity to turn those reports around early on. But for whatever reason, I don't know if you was listening to your daddy or what have you, you decided not to. You decided to go the route that you went, you know, and this is a quote-unquote byproduct of that. But I will go back and say once again, as Ozzy had just said, he is better than a couple of them lames that went yesterday. So let's not twist that up. You know, but the young man had an opportunity early on in this process to separate himself, to prove the Boo Birds wrong or what have you. Okay, for whatever reason, he did not take the opportunity to do so. You know, and some of this is a byproduct of that.
You know the saying, speak softly and carry a big stick?
Yeah.
That's what I do. Again, from my opinion, it's not about talent. And yeah, I've heard everything about interviews and being bad. When you get your opportunity, and I think he will get drafted. I don't think he's going to be a free agent. Whatever your team you go into, you go in, work hard, and prove yourself. You know, you don't have to prove it to him, but those who draft him, you go in and you be a team player and you get it done.
And shut the chatter down. Shut the chatter down. Shut it down.
I would shut it down. Again, that's why I say speak softly and carry a big stick. I wouldn't give them any ammunition, but they are who they are. They mean the NFL. And it is what it is in that situation.
But see, to me, they're sending a clear message. To me, they're sending a clear message. We're not going to have this in the NFL. And I think it's part of it's to me, it's It's like collusion. They've gotten together on this, I think.
Oh,
and they've said, right. I said, we need to stop this. And I think that's all a part of it. I think that's a part of it also. That they're just trying to set the stage and let people know that we're not going to do this. I do think they were disappointed when he came out, when his father came out and said there were certain teams he didn't want his son to play for. I think they were also turned off when he did not do his workouts at the combine. Now you got to remember, there have been plenty of players who didn't work out at the combine.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't work at the combine, period.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't have this same attitude and this sense of entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
See, they didn't have that kind of attitude when they didn't work out.
And they didn't have the whispers following them, Coach.
Right, that's why the whispers
wasn't
were following.
a whole lot of question marks concerning their ability and all that sort of thing.
Correct.
It's just like if I go. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, were there no whispers about those particular players, or were they dormant in comparison to what Shedeur is because of the status that he already has? And see, there's a lot of players that we can talk about even now that don't have great attitudes. There are a lot of players that just don't have solid attitudes. And if that's the case, then we need to revamp the whole system with all of the players that are just about there, because it's a hodgepodge of different people who don't have great. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a great attitude.
Right. You're exactly right.
You know, but the only difference is now he's a great player. Now, that's the only difference. He's a great player.
If you're a player, they're going to overlook all that. Ain't no doubt about that.
Right.
You know, ain't no doubt about that. And the people that you're talking about didn't have those whispers behind them.
Right. Aaron Rodgers was not like that before he got drafted, though. See, that came later after he proved that he's a good player. His attitude and his demeanor started changing. Then, when Aaron Rodgers got drafted, he was nowhere like he is now.
I would say
now. Honestly, what they're looking at, if you're like this now, if your attitude is like this now, and you haven't even been drafted, what is it going to be like if you do become productive? That means that we can't handle you. We won't be able to deal with it. And I promise, I think all of this is a part of it, man. And I don't want people to be jumping on here saying it's a black thing. It's not a black thing. It's not a black thing, in my opinion. It to me, it's a combination of the young man and his father putting them in this situation to where people don't want to deal with it. Because I think everybody is saying that he has the talent. They never would have projected him as a first round draft pick if they didn't think he had the talent. So it's something other than talent that's preventing this kid from getting drafted.
I'll say the last word.
I'll say this as it relates to what Coach is saying, is that I would agree across the board that there must be something that's there. My only issue is that there are other players that we have never heard about that probably had these same issues, that was not on the same statue or level as a Shedeur Sanders, and hasn't been, because this kid has been looked at since he was in high school. So, I mean, he has a level, and then, of course, his dad. And therefore, I would just look at it from that standpoint of saying that he's already been on this level for quite some time. Now, I would also go on and say this. I still believe that Shedeur's got to settle in, shake back, and do what he needs to do to prove all of the persons who don't think that he deserves an opportunity to be there, that he does deserve to be there. So once you get your opportunity, you better make the best out of it, because if you don't, you'll be sitting with your dad, probably being a GA at Colorado.
Yep.
Well, I got the draft on, so hopefully we'll see him being Shedeur, get drafted. That's convincing.
But do you get louder? Do you get louder now? Because if you go
I'll
in
just
quiet,
tell you what I would do.
If you go in quiet, then you're acknowledging that maybe what you were doing was wrong in the first place, and do you eat humble pie, or does it make you turn it up a notch? What kind of kid is he now? We will find out what kind of kid he is, shortly.
We shall see. Let's take a timeout. Coming up at 12:30, Demonnie Lagway. What a name. What a name. Coming to Southern University from Cal State Fullerton. And we were kind of communicating during the week. I told her, are you ready for the cultural change, the heat and humidity, and the great food? She says she can't wait. So we'll hear her story. I put in some communications to the basketball staff, but I guess they're busy, recruiting and stuff. But the Southern Women's Basketball program, they have some additions, from JUCO and transfer portal. But I reached out to her, and she's agreed to come on the show. So that's going to be interesting. Well, were they in the 4th round now?
Right. Wow. He's 122, and he still hadn't gone.
Yeah. I still have faith he'll get drafted. He'll get drafted. Shedeur Sanders. Wow. Unbelievable. We'll take a timeout. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Don't forget to hit the notification, like, and subscribe. Notification about the Carlos Brown Show on the Black College Sports Network and all of the shows on the network, my colleagues. Well, got a chance to look in the chat room. This discussion, the last segment, a lot of opinions going both ways, and they are opinions. We all have opinions. I'll close it up by saying this. I wish the best for Shedeur. And once again, once you get the opportunity, I think he'll make the most of it. I'm a Saints fan. They chose not to. I know a lot of people are Pittsburgh Steelers fans. They did not pick him up. So we'll see how this all will work out. Maybe we'll have some good news to report next week. Coach Pettaway, the NBA playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Let's kind of look at it. You're not going to talk about the Heat. I predicted 4-1 in that series. Maybe they'll get one game. Garland and Tyler Hero kind of having words off court. But again, it's about on the court. Who can make adjustments? It's about matchups.
Right.
So we go into the East. Orlando Magic came away with a big victory last night. Tatum, I'm sure he's not 100%, but they got enough talent that they can withstand Tatum not being 100%. Milwaukee bounced back last night with a blowout victory over Indiana.
Right.
Go ahead, Coach.
Okay, so right now, your Heat they're down 2-0 to the Cavaliers, with the Cavaliers playing real well. Then, of course, like you just said, last night the Bucks found a way to beat the Pacers, and now that's a 2-1 series. The Knicks and the Pistons, New York leads that series 2-1, so they're trending in the right direction. And then, of course, last night the Magic found a way to beat the Celtics. Now, I'm not really concerned about that. Boston loss because I don't think Holloway played. Then you're not sure if Tatum is 100%. So if Tatum can be 100%, and then this little slight injury to Brown, if that doesn't rear his head, I still think that the Celtics will take that series. I think they'll beat the Young Bucks, beat the Magic. So in the East, it's okay. Now the West, that's just a different story, because right now the doggone the Thunder, they're playing like they are the number one seed. They're just dismantling the Grizzlies. And when they came from 29 down the other night, I said, you know what, this is over with. So they can end their series and get a lot of rest. Now with the Clippers and the Nuggets, the Clippers lead that series 2-1. You got Kawhi Leonard playing lights out basketball right now. And with him playing like that, man, he can carry that team now. And then for you Los Angeles Lakers fans, the Lakers aren't going anywhere. I think that experiment with Luka and LeBron, that it's not enough. That's not enough to sustain against some of these younger teams. And the Timberwolves, they proved that last night. You got to be able to play some defense, and the Lakers are not getting it done on the defensive end right now. And then the last series on the West, the Rockets and the Warriors. I think if Jimmy Butler is not available for the Warriors, this is a wrap. I think the young guys will win that series, the Rockets, because they got so much depth. They got so many young kids that they can plug and play. I think they'll wear the Warriors down, because Steph's not going to be able to beat them by himself. And see, if you don't have another guy to go along with Steph Curry, and that guy has been your former athlete, if he's not ready to play, then there's no way they're going to win that series against the Rockets. So that's it in a nutshell, man. I still got Boston and the Thunder in the championship game. But my pick of the Celtics could change if they're not healthy. If they're not healthy, they're not going to beat the Thunder. And that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Butler's absence from the Warriors, man, that's huge, man. That's huge.
Yeah, because playoff Jimmy had emerged.
Right.
Also, he shoots a lot of free throws. He gets to the basket. The Lakers, LeBron, excellent performance. Still a great two-way player. Lukic is not a two-way player. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Defense, he's a liability.
Yes, he is.
And then bench-wise, they need that third scorer. And then OKC, their bench is deep.
Yep.
I'm still comfortable with my pick. I got OKC taking it all. But to beat the champions, you got to go through the champions.
Right.
And I understand that. Also, Milwaukee, they kind of showed me something. They bounced back. But there's a lot of chatter with the Greek Freak. Could be heading out of Milwaukee, although he is a true team player. Loyalty to the 210th point. But now there's some rumblings. He may be ready to get out of there. The Knicks.
And you ought to like them rumblings because they say he wants to go to Miami.
No, well, everybody wants to go to Miami. Everybody wants to come to Miami until
they get there.
Until you get there, and then you got the body fat. You can't have this much. The practices is hard. You have a general manager that still is heavily involved. So it looks great, but or do you really want to be there?
Yeah.
Knicks in Detroit, guys. Coach Graves, I text you and I said, "Are the Knicks in trouble?" Smart Aleck, you know what he says? He says, "No, but the Heat are."
Yeah.
That wasn't a question, Coach Graves. So, but I guess you did answer it. I think the Knicks in Detroit are going to go 7. I think it's going to go 6 or 7. I knew New York was going to bounce back. Just like tomorrow, the Lakers, is it a must win?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If they lose tomorrow, it's over with, man.
And Denver.
And then tomorrow's a big game because you don't have that big turnaround. That's gonna be wear and tear on them older guys, man.
Hey, and 40 is not like 20.
Nope.
Oh no.
Hell, Willa, I'm 60. And 40 looks pretty good now. but still, but LeBron, a true warrior. A true warrior, though. I was watching that game last night. They just need more. And I think next year in the offseason, they're going to have to tweak some things again.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves Luka, but he's a great offensive player, but my goodness, he's a liability on defense.
Well, they knew he ain't played defense in Dallas, so they knew what they was getting.
Oh, but wait a minute. Dallas knew that, but everybody, boy, you saw all the fans in Dallas just going on Brother Nico, like he doesn't know what he's doing. And I often talk about this, and just kind of looking at some of the old films, Austin. The style of play is totally different now than back in the 90s and 80s. Michael Jordan said he could probably average 50 points or 60 points a game now if he was playing. Because it's not physical, it's more finesse. I call it the European style. You got 6'9" and 6'10" guys playing out on the wing. Nobody posts down low pretty much. You got a few.
Very few that actually play back to the basketball anymore. And when you talk about a guy like Michael Jordan playing in this particular era, this is almost a defensive-less era of basketball that you could possibly ever see. And you have some of the greatest athletes that are probably playing the game right now. It's just the fact that when you look at what they're doing, you're seeing more defensive play out of these guys because it's played playoff time and money's on the line and different things of that nature, championship. But when you just talk about the level of play, you just have guys that are versatile now, much, much more versatile than, like you said, in the 90s. How many 7 feet guys stepped out and shot 3-pointers in the 90s? That was almost an unheard of thing back in the day. And now you have guys that can just play pretty much anywhere on the floor. You have 7 feet guys that bring the ball up the court, one-on-one, almost like guards. So, I mean, when you talk about the level of athlete that is out there playing, that is great. But Michael Jordan and those guys that played during that era played against some guys that actually didn't mind playing defense. And that's something that when I watch NBA basketball, that's the one thing that probably turns me off the most, especially in the regular season, is the lack thereof of defense that is actually being played.
Right. And then, Osby, the other thing that I don't like, this form of pro basketball is trickling over into the college game. You know, you got positionless basketball. I don't like it, man, because all they're doing is standing out there shooting threes, and you don't develop kids. You don't have the back-to-the-back basket players in the collegiate game now, because everybody's trying to mimic what the NBA is doing. And to me, it's ruining the game of college basketball, because even if I was coaching today, I still would go out there and try to find me somebody that can play in the post. I got to have that. I want to be able to play in the post, and at the same time, I'm going to still shoot the – you always know I'm going to have shooters on the floor, but I got to have somebody in that post, man. I don't want 5 people on the perimeter. What you doing? If you 6'10" or 7 foot, why are you on the perimeter? You won't be on there for me. You're going to get your butt down there and post up. The only time you come out, you come away from the basket is to set a screen.
Coach Pettaway, you ask a kid to put his back to the basket tomorrow morning, he'd be in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Wow. and you know, speaking of that, I was thinking about the guy in the chat room, Willie Bolden. So I went back and looked at the roster. I saw a kid on the bench all year from New Orleans, 6'10". I marked that down. Noel, who played for Southern the last 2 years. Had a couple of starts. He's 6'10". And then we have the injured guy. And let me pull up his name right quick, because I always call him the injured guy.
Right. You got 6'10", you got 6'8", you got 6'9". You got size when you got height. They may not have the prerequisite for the weight, but you got height, Carlos.
But they athletic bigs. Brentel Noah, 6'10". Right. Delane Moore, he's the one that I always say was injured. 6'9". Then you have Lionel Bell, 6'10". He redshirted. And I remember seeing him every home game on the bench. And then you got Poosh PJ, who I love. He's from Sudanese. He's 6'8", and Coach Pettaway, if you remember, he's the guy that a lot of times they put out on defense on the top scorer. So right. there is height on the roster, Mr. Bolden, and I texted him that information, and he said something to the effect, "Well, that's a good start." but the point is, you're not. My definition of bigs, I like athletic bigs, that can play the 5, the 4, and in some cases the 3, right? And in some cases the 2. But you're just not going to find these 7-footers per se, unless you have the bag.
Right. And that's what Mr. Bolden has to get some of his colleagues, and they come up with their collective. You get that collective, I promise you, you can get the 6'10", the 7-footer that he's looking for. You can get them, but it's going to cost you a price. Yes. That's why the collectives are in place, to give alumni an opportunity to come up with the necessary funds for these coaches to deliver the bag for these kids to come in.
Well,
they made it legal now.
Yeah, and speaking of the Pandora's box is open now. Speaking of the bag, our university are not at the point where you see some of the other Division One schools, because our schools are Division One in basketball as well. There's a huge gap.
Yeah.
Huge gap.
Mhm.
So you mentioned player development. That's still big in my
Right.
in my realm of thinking. And also, I still believe in the old saying, you play in, then you play out.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you go in.
Inside out.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah.
just my opinion.
And see, Carlos, these coaches are working hard
Go
now,
on, Coach.
man.
Go on.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Austin. Go ahead, Austin.
No, I was going to say I totally agree with what Carlos was just saying. That inside out game is still the thing that will be a winning recipe right now, because nobody really plays that style of basketball anymore. Nobody wants to be that physical anymore. So everything that you just mentioned was the finesse style of the game that is being so much a part of it. When you have a guy that's a bruiser that can get down there and that can bang and get you those 15, 20 points, and it's going to be a solid 15, 20, and the defense is going to have to work, that means the whole defense has to collapse. You can't allow him to catch the ball. That means front side, backside defensively, which allows kickouts to the three-point baskets, or it allows dribble penetration to the rim for your guards to get easy looks and probably get three-point plays, get the traditional three-point play from the free throw line. So when you start talking basketball, if the basketball would ever go back to just having that guy or guys that can play inside out, that are fundamentally sound, that actually have what you were just talking about, Carlos, being able to be those type of guys, I think it would take the game to another level.
Right. And then to me, Florida proved that if you got somebody that can play in the paint, you can win a national championship.
Yes, sir.
They score baskets in the paint. Houston scored baskets in the paint, but theirs were off of the bounce. Their guards penetrated, got in the paint. Yeah, they scored in the paint. But Florida's had two kids, or three of them, that they rotated in and out, and they played in the post. They played with their back to the basket, or they got in the paint and they faced up. If you can do that, I think you can win games. Now, here's the thing. I think nowadays we don't have an excuse. In 2011, when I last coached, we could not work with kids in the summer. Now you can. So now the summer, and all the different times that they've given these coaches to work with these kids, you could recruit a kid that played on the perimeter. But during that off time, teach that kid how to post. Teach him to be able to play in the paint. And you got the opportunity to do it now more so than in the past, because in the past, you didn't even have that opportunity to work with fundamentals with those kids. Now they give you that option all year round, so you take advantage of it. I would be spending more time on working kids in playing in and out than I would staying out there on that perimeter.
You know, they often tell me, well, you kind of live in the past too much. But I remember a guy who had a great mid-range. And you like to see that on the collegiate level and in the NBA, the mid-range. You remember a guy named Alex English?
Right, Alex English.
Yes, sir.
Kawhi Leonard. He got the Clippers in a great position because he has a mid-range game. Kawhi scores on all three levels. He can shoot the three. Mm-hmm. He can do the low post or the high post, and he can get to the basket. That's what you got to have. To me, that's what you got to teach.
Put that comment up with EA. You know, EA likes to pick. Yeah.
I saw it.
Carlos, it's called basketball analytics, old timer. Yeah, I'm an old timer. You're right. The three is better than the two.
It is when it's going in.
Yes.
Thank you, Coach.
But what are you going to do when it doesn't go in?
I like balance.
Yep.
You know, hey, you play inside, then out, then you have some opportunities, you know, because you're penetrating. And then you got open spaces. I'm not saying you can't have one or the other. You can have both. But I say you just start inside, out first. A good post play, EA. Yeah. Why not have 4-point shots? That might come eventually. Who knows? Who would be the master of the 4-point shot? Stephen Curry, right?
Yep.
He'll let it fly from half court, and look, he makes a good many of those.
Yeah, it'd be Steph for the men and Caitlin Clark for the women.
Can we also put international size courts in the line in the college? Have they done that yet?
Yeah. It's coming. That's just like 4 quarters. I think 4 quarters is coming for the men's game. Watch what I tell you.
Yes.
Yep.
And
yes.
that'll be interesting. That will definitely be interesting. But I'm a little bit of old school. And speaking of old school in basketball, Miss Lagway is backstage, so she's ready. What we're gonna do? We're gonna take a timeout. When we come back, we'll visit with Demonnie Lagway. She's going to become a member of the Southern University women's basketball program. We'll talk with her next. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return, EA.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
There's a shot. It might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Yours truly, Carlos Brown, the panel, Willa Brown, Ossie Clark, and Coach Vann Pettaway. Now we're going to talk with Demonnie Lagway. She's a member now of the Southern University basketball program. Now we just have to get her a video shot upright.
I can.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Can you flip the camera?
Yeah, I can flip it.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. Perfect. Good morning to your Pacific Standard Time, correct? What is it?
Yes.
10:30?
Yeah,
Okay.
10:30.
Well, that's another thing on the list you'll have to get used to, Central Standard Time, but I think you will do all right with that. We appreciate you coming on the show. The recruiting process. Can you walk us through it? Your recruiting process that you were able to now to become a member of the Southern University basketball program.
Yes. Okay. So my coach here, he got fired. So I was able to enter the portal a week early. So I got to be able to talk to coaches earlier than normal. And I was looking to go farther. So I was just looking around, and then Southern hit me up and came on the visit. They were the first visit I came on and instantly fell in love, and I just committed. And I canceled the rest of my visits.
Wow.
Yeah.
First impressions are lasting.
Yeah.
Coming from Cal State Fullerton, and I got a chance to kind of look at some of your footage, and we'll get into your game as well. So your decision to come to Southern University and sign with them was based on that visit. How was that visit to Baton Rouge?
It felt like a family. Like when I went there, it was just the team with the coaches, the environment, like everyone spoke to everyone, like, and it was like the environment was so different than what I was used to. And that's what the main thing I was looking for was like a family oriented community. And I instantly found that there. I was only there for 3 days and I like enjoyed it so much I didn't want to leave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We'll get into the cultural aspect of coming from California. You're a native of California, right?
Yeah. Right.
And to Louisiana. So, Southern had won the conference and they won the play-in game in California. Did that have any influence, or were you able to?
Yeah, I went to both of those games. I went to the game against UC San Diego. That team is in my conference, so it was good to see them against a team that I'm already used to seeing, and seeing them compete, a team that I'm used to. And I also went to the UCLA game, so just good seeing them compete. Like they're competitors, like, and I wanted to be a part of that like dog mentality.
I would think that would be interesting to kind of see your teammates, because I was going to ask you about also the coaching staff, Coach Funches, and your thoughts not only with your teammates, your future teammates, but the university as a whole. The scenery, the background. How was that for you?
It was different, definitely different from when I come from, but I think I need different. The campus is way bigger, a lot more people, so I think I'm ready for the culture of it.
Well, speaking of culture, how do you think you will adapt to the culture? Great food, festivals, as I texted you earlier. Heat and humidity, that's part of it as well, the weather. But what will be the adjustment period for you, you think?
I mean, I just think the biggest adjustment would just being farther from home. Like Fullerton's only 40 minutes from where I live. So like just being that far away. But I think just being surrounded by the girls and the coaches, like I'll be okay.
Okay. Hey, if you had to describe your game, I'm Vann Pettaway. I will be calling your game when you do come to Huntsville. What can the fans expect for Southern, and what can I expect when I see you play?
Just a dog. Like I'm gonna work hard no matter what. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to help my team. If that's scoring, if that's playing defense, if that's being a leader, if that's talking, like whatever it is, like whatever role that they need me to be in, like I'll do it.
Outstanding.
Now we also got to ask you about the academic side. What will be your major, or are you carrying your credentials over from Cal State Fullerton?
Yeah, I was in a kinesiology major here, but I plan on changing it. I want to do like American Studies or American History.
Interesting history. Yeah. Somebody has that major, Wheeler. They graduated from Southern the history major. You talked about your play, and when you came on your visit and you committed to Southern University, where do they envision you? Did they talk to you about their vision of where you will help this basketball program?
Yeah, they're looking for a scorer. That's what they need me to be, and that's what I am. Like I know how to put the ball in the basket, so just being the scorer for them is big time. That's
Now,
that's the role.
Now, Demonnie, no combo guard, huh? Just strictly a scoring guard. Can you play the point if need be?
Yeah, I can play. I could play 1 to 4.
Hey,
yeah.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
Coach Pettaway, the combo guard.
Yeah.
That can play.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach
So
Pettaway.
can you score on all 3 levels? Can you shoot the 3? Can you get to the basket?
Mid-range.
Yep.
Mid-range is like my bread and butter.
Okay.
Mid-range.
Yeah.
Wow, I love
That's
that.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And how tall are you?
5'10".
5'10". Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's good. That's nice size for a guard.
Yeah.
Yep. That's nice size.
Somehow I love that height. I guess why?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm 5'10". I don't know if you were able to hear some of the conversation where we were talking about the NBA and the style of play. You mentioned mid-range. Mid-range. That, I think, is a lost art in college basketball right now. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the mid-range is the hardest shot to guard. I can like elevate at any time off any dribble. Like, yeah, they like people don't see it coming. So I love mid-range.
Yeah, back to the basics. How about your parents? I know sometimes parents are involved with decision making, but ultimately it comes back down to the person. What are their thoughts on you now? Going moving farther away to finish out your academic and basketball career.
They're excited. They're really excited. They let me take the steering wheel on this decision. They didn't really have us like say so. They was like, whatever you want to do, like we're gonna support it. I also have family in Houston, so they'll drive down. They'll drive down a lot, and they have my godmom lives out there, and her husband has family in Louisiana, so they'll be down there a lot. So I'll still have support down there, but they said whatever you want to do, like if you want to go far, then they support it.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah, that is good. Cedric says we used to call mid-range off the elbow back in my day. Well, wait a minute, Cedric. I don't think you're. I think you're younger than me. Oh, and Mr. Bolden says great height. Somebody listening to me, 5'10" guards. Wow, Willie is a staunch supporter of Southern University, and he's a tough guy. Another question. I just saw it. Parents, HBCU alums? Are your parents HBCU alums?
No, I'll be the first to graduate from college.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
That's good.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So now,
that's cool.
So now you got a lot to play for. You got a lot to be desired. Finishing your basketball career, being the first to graduate, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank
you.
I
wish you the best in that. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Quick question,
go ahead. I'll say. Go ahead.
No, I'm going to ask Demonnie a quick question. What message do you want to send not only to Southern University, but the Southwestern Athletic Conference from an impact standpoint?
I'm coming in to do the same thing they did last year. I'm coming in to be that piece to help them win it again.
Well, in this chat room, that's very good. We have alums of Jackson State, Alabama State, Grambling, all. Have you done any research on the conference, the other teams, and is there any games that you're looking forward to? I know all of them, but conference-wise, who are you looking forward to playing?
Probably Jackson State. I was also talking to them too, so I know a little bit about them. So I think Jackson State, I'm looking for them. I heard usually they're at the top of the conference too. They usually do really well, so Jackson State.
And guess what, Demonnie? They're like Southern fans. They're arrogant and cocky, and they get behind their teams. Yeah. Oh boy! Yeah. They've had a great basketball program as well. Grambling State, it's tough. FAMU is building their women's basketball program, so it'll be very interesting that you'll be able to come in and help this team and program. Now, the transfer portal, since you've been into it, and a lot of times you have a lot of slots open. Well, no, you have a lot of players in the transfer portal, but not as many slots. You were able to navigate it through it pretty well. Relationships are important, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think so too. Torino, I have a coach, Coach Torino. He's at Cal State LA. He really helps me like navigate. Like I swear he knows everyone. So like having him on my side and like having him help me talk to coaches and tell people about me, like having that connection with him, like really helped me through this process.
Now, the good part, besides also playing for Southern University at HBCU experience, we talked about the culture in Louisiana, but Ms. Lagway, the food, the festivals. When we were communicating this week, you said you can't wait to try. What's that crawfish?
Yeah, crawfish. I've never had it.
Oh my! Now, yeah, great food here. So I know your workout routine will help you navigate through that great food experience in Louisiana, correct?
Yes.
So, what else? Visiting New Orleans?
Yeah,
Have you done that?
No, I haven't been.
Oh my!
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have you, and I appreciate you taking time out because it's a 2-hour difference in time in California. But we appreciate you coming on today's show. We appreciate everything about you and what you've told us, and we look forward to seeing you in Baton Rouge on that court, helping the Southern Jaguars go back to back regular season, and also that thing about the basketball tournament. Yeah. It's gonna be tough, but hey, we're glad you're aboard.
Yep. And another thing you're gonna have to look forward to, your first home football game. I think you're gonna enjoy that experience. It's great.
We don't have football.
Yep.
Oh wow. Yeah, football, the Bayou Classic, the ambiance at SWAC football and HBCU football games, there's none better. The bands, hey, it's all good. Chuck said there's truly an arrogance between those two fan bases, right? Southern and Jackson State, but that's a good thing. Welcome to the Bluff, Demonnie, and we appreciate the time.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Well, that was an interesting interview.
Right. At 5'10" and playing the guard spot, that's pretty good now. That's pretty good, Carlos. That's in the league, you're talking about people like Destiny Brown, that got that height and that skill set. I think Coach Funches may have a home run. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I've reached out to him and hopefully get him on in future shows. I know they're busy. Also, July 16th, SWAC Football Media Day. They've announced that in Birmingham. Because football season, like all sports, it's all year round now. But Ms. Lagway, we look forward to seeing her contribute to this Southern University basketball team. They've added some more pieces as well on the women's side.
That's great. And Carlos, you do remember now we did have a couple of coaches vacancies filled since the last show.
Yeah.
Yep. Alcorn announced. I mean, they had their press conference. I thought he did an outstanding job. I got a chance to listen to the interview, and he said he won the press conference. Now he's saying all the right things.
He did.
Right way, and I was proud of Charles for asking the right questions too. So that was pretty good. Then I understand that Prairie View women have now they have found a coach for their program. So I like to see that in our HBCU We don't waste entire recruiting season waiting to name a coach. Give that coach an opportunity with that first recruiting cycle, and that's good.
I wonder if it's a young lady that I saw that they said they were close to naming her. She was a young lady that was on the staff at the University of Houston. And
right.
Yeah,
I think that's who it is, Carlos.
Yeah, I have to go back and look for her name and everything, but I did remember seeing something to the effect. Well, the draft is still going on, and everybody but Shador. Everybody but Shador. And I feel bad for him, but again, I think he'll get it done. He'll get it done. I saw him play in person at Jackson State. Tremendous talent. Physically, hey, he's a pocket passer. You definitely. And I remember Coach Sanders said, in this conference, you need a quarterback that can make all of the throws. And he couldn't make all of the throws. So that's big with me. But, I may be in the minority because a dual threat quarterback is still the hottest thing going in college football. Cam, the young man who was picked first, guess what? No stars coming out of high school. I tell you, this thing is all a big marketing thing. As far as, I can remember Dalton Hilliard came from a 1A school in Louisiana. Didn't have all the accolades. Went on to have a great career. So it's about this. When you get the opportunity, you make the most of it. Personality-wise, guys, on the show, I have one personality. Off the show, I have a different personality at times. My thing is this. Even when you go on a job interview, I do my research about the job I'm trying to get, and I come in with an interview game plan. I'm not going to be arrogant. I'm not going to be talking just crazy. I'm there to just do what I have to do to get that job. And so personalities are all different, Will and Coach Pettaway and Austin. Personalities are everything, but I still think attitude. And look, I know the NFL system. Yeah. It's a bunch of white Americans who run everything. And I'm not trying to make it about race, but it is, from a historical standpoint, the NFL, they like to lowball people. Even, small colleges, student athletes that come out. I can get them at a cheaper price if I don't draft them. So that part. So, again,
you gotta have that chip on your shoulder. You gotta go out there with that chip on your shoulder. There's no doubt about that, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can't let it come to a point where that chip on your shoulder is overriding what you bring to the table. At the end of the day, it's about what can you do out there on that field to help my team win. And I mean, and it ain't this. It ain't talking about it at the end of the day. It's being about it and getting it done. And if you're not able to do that, don't nothing else matter. So, you tell all these kids out there now, you got to be tempered in terms of what comes out of your mouth. But you let your work speak for you. Nobody can question your work when they see it right out there on that field. Ain't nothing to say.
And that's why nobody could question my love for the Miami Heat. Coach Pettaway, you see, I know they're not going to go far in the playoffs. They have the attitude now of, well, we get into the play-in, we'll get to the playoffs. That's the attitude that they have now. There's that word again, attitude. I don't believe in that attitude. You try to be your best, and all games matter. from the beginning to the end. And so it's like, you can always turn that switch on. But one time you're going to go to turn the switch on and the light is out.
Yep.
Got to change the bulb, Carlos.
Yep.
The 5-minute mark.
Yep.
Southern baseball panel, a bold statement. Will they win the series against Mississippi Valley State 3-0, 2-1, or will they lose the series? Willa, come
on. Southern will sweep it. Yeah. They'll sweep it. But what have we gotten to now where the Southern Mississippi Valley baseball series has become a must-win?
Yeah.
Wow. Where are we? Where are we, Carlos? Where are we?
That's because
where are we? Where are we? I'm telling you.
We are where we at. Southern baseball is not having a good year.
I gotta talk to Crenshaw about that. I gotta huddle up.
You talk to him. He probably want to talk to me. Coach Pettaway, your prediction.
Well, I think Southern will win it, and you also will be happy they'll win the series.
2-1, 3-0?
They'll win it 2-1.
Aussie?
I'm going to go with the Jaguars winning, sweeping the series out with Mississippi Valley, understanding what's on the line right now, because everything that can go against you can go against you at this point in the year. So they can't afford to have any letdowns. I see the Jags sweeping this week, even though they have a doubleheader on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think they win the series, but I'm going to say 2-1.
Yep.
That first game will show me a lot. They can win the first game and then split the doubleheader. That's fine too. But it's getting late. It's getting late. It's time to shift it in gear. And if this is a team we have for this year, it is what it is. They got to get ready, get focused, and give their darnest. Want to thank Melanie, Demonnie Lagway, our guest, also Aussie Clark. Great job sitting in for Charles Edmond. Want to say this. Have a great rest of your weekend and join us next Saturday at 11 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Until next time, as always, peace and God bless.